Good morning, sir. Today's first article is on Beirut battered. Blast worsens Lebanon's situation as it fights political, economic, and health emergencies. So there was a blast taking place in Lebanon, which have made their situation more bad than what was before, compared to political, economic, or health emergencies. Let's start the today's article. The devastating blast in central Beirut on Tuesday that killed 135 people and wounded 4,000 has once again turned the spotlight on a city that had in the past survived civil wars, sectarian violence, foreign interventions, and terrorist attacks. So the devastating means destructive, and sectarian violence means fight of people who are interested or strongly believe or support in religious or political group. Right. So the destructive blast which was taking place in central Beirut on Tuesday have caused so many injuries to people, and 135 people were killed and almost 4,000 people were injured. This made again focus on that city which already in the past have survived for the civil wars, sectarian violence, interventions, and terrorist attacks. While there is no dearth of conspiracy theories, the initial assessment of the government is that the blast was caused by the detonation of more than 2,700 tons of ammonium nitrate that had been stored in a warehouse at the Beirut port after it was confiscated from a cargo ship 6 years ago. So, while there is no shortage of conspiracy theories, the initial assessment of government have said that the blast was caused due to the detonation means explosion of more than 2,700 tons of ammonium nitrate which was stored in warehouse of Beirut port and was confiscated, which means seized 6 years ago from the cargo ship. Officials say the initial explosion ignited a fire, while the second one was more devastating, with a mushroom cloud of smoke and fire enveloping the capital skyline and its shock waves battering buildings across the city and wounding thousands. So, according to officials stated, it was said that the first time when that initial stage, there was not much more, a small fire around the ignited a fire, and while it was going to other stages, in second time there was a more destructive cause that there was a cloud of smoke which was looking like mushroom, and the fire was spreading out through the city, the central capital, wounding means injuring thousands of people. Officials have said that they would investigate any potential terror angle, while Prime Minister Hassan Diab has promised to bring all those responsible for this catastrophe to justice. So while the officials wanted to investigate about how this has happened, what was the reason for the blast, meanwhile the Prime Minister Hassan Diab have promised people that whoever is responsible for this destruction or damage will bring them to a justice. US President Donald Trump has called it an attack. So US President Donald Trump have concluded that in his views that it may be an attack. The magnitude of the blast and the level of the destruction is caused in one of the busiest area of capital city suggests that the casualties would be higher. So the magnitude means the force of this blast and the level of this destruction means this much destruction have caused so much damage for the in the busiest areas of capital city, and said that there may be so many people injured due to this accident will be a lot more. Beirut's healthcare system struggling to fight the COVID pandemic is already stretched, as Beirut's healthcare systems were already in so much pressure due to the COVID 19 pandemic. But this blast has made more stress on them. Coping with the aftermath of the blast itself would be an uphill task for the country's beleaguered government. So, means like coming up with the consequences due to this blast would be a biggest task for the country's seized government. The blast could not have come at a worse time for Lebanon. In recent years, it has been battling with one crisis or another, be it political instability, a crumbling economy, or the pandemic. From the last few years, Lebanon, the city was facing so many crises, one or the other crisis like political instability, crumbling economy means varying economy, pandemic, and much more. Massive street protests that broke out in Beirut and elsewhere last year against corruption and the government's inability to provide even basic services to citizens paralyzed government further, leading to Prime Minister Saad Hariri's resignation. So there were so much problems taking place in this city before this blast only, like massive street protests were broke out in Beirut, means came to Beirut, and last year there was a corruption case and the government was unable to they were unable to provide even basic services for the people, and there was a paralyzed government, and this led to the resignation of Prime Minister Saad Hariri. The new government's immediate priority was to fix the economy, so the new government which was taking place of the old government wanted to, their first priority was to fix up the economy, means improve the economy, but the economy is still in free fall, means it's still in decreasing only. Prices of essential goods are high, foreign currency is scarce, and the GDP is expected to contract 12% this year according to the International Monetary Fund. So uh, prices of wanted goods were becoming high. The foreign currency was in scarce, means was not available, were very less, and the GDP was expected to improve more, 12% increase to 12% according to the International Monetary Fund. Residents of Beirut are also struggling with long power outages, which are delaying even the rescue efforts after the blast. So Beirut is struggling from this blast, and there were no proper rescue efforts. There were no immediate response to this blast for rescuing. On on southern border, tensions between Israel and Hezbollah are on the rise, with Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu warning of military action. So there was a more worse problem in the southern border between Israel and Hezbollah, where Prime Minister of Israel wanted was saying that there will be a military action with Hezbollah. If Lebanon was already on its knees amidst all these crises, the blast would most likely break its back. So the Lebanon was already on its knees, means Lebanon was already facing so many problems. Uh, in spite all this crisis, there was a big problem of blast, which will make the Lebanon more ill. Means they lose their break its back, means there is a severe worse effect on them, Lebanon people. It has rendered hundreds of thousands homeless and would deepen the country's economic woes as one of its main ports has been destroyed. Here, rendered means supply something. So it has supplied thousands of homeless, hundreds of thousands homeless, and it would also deepen the problems because in this blast the main port of the city was destroyed. The immediate focus should be on rescuing the wounded and getting the city back on its feet. So, the main focus of the government should be rescuing the people who are injured and bringing back the city in the normal stage, into normal stage. All stakeholders from the Sunni parties to Shia Hezbollah should work together. So, all the stakeholders should come together and work as a team for developing. Other countries in the region as well as international institutions should offer help to Beirut to withstand this moment of catastrophe. So other countries should also help Beirut so that they can improve in their problems and stand on themselves, and for making them more nice feeling and taking it to a better stage. Every country has to help in this just um, in this worse situation for them. So this first article is on the bomb blast which have taken place in the Beirut, and what are the causes of it, what are side effects are going, and are the what is government going to do and what they have to do. So there was a worse situation due to this blast in Lebanon, and I hopefully think that it will be cured, all the problems be sorted out very quickly. Thank you.